It's kind of shocking that King Richard was actually made from woke Hollywood because King Richard has a lot of conservative values to it, like family, dedication, hard work, humbleness, civility. And the fact that this was also distributed by Warner Bros. And it has all of these elements in the film, and they did not touch it, from what I understand, at all, is again extremely astounding and shocking. Warner Bros. Has a very bad history, especially with the DCEU, of seeing a film that, even if it's like 2 hours long, they want to butcher it to an hour and 15, an hour and a half, just for money. Well, fortunately, with King Richard, nobody but the writers and directors had their hands on it, from what I understand. King Richard is about the origin story of Venus and Serena Williams, famous star tennis players, but more importantly focused around their dad, who shaped their entire career. Now, in real life or from the film, you can like or dislike their dad, and that's perfectly fine. There are definitely notable parts and reasons behind both. Personally, I believe for the most part, he helped them succeed. There were times in their life where some things he did kind of did detract from their career and their skills, such as postponing any more matches for, what was it, like a year or two or however long, and in favor of them just being kids, which I agree with the being kids part, but when you have a certain skill, you need to focus on that. And I get it. He was surrounded by a bunch of famous star athletes that grew up as teenagers and they made it big and famous immediately, and then they ended up becoming druggies and whatnot, especially considering that the Williams family came from Compton, California, which is a ghetto. And they do touch base with that as well. Now, there are some parts in King Richard where it shows things like some systemic racism in police brutality and the way you live, where you live, but they don't focus on that. They don't go out and say they can't do this because of these things. In fact, they actually narrate it the opposite. They are surrounded by these things and they aim to do better. They aim to be better. They aim to be bigger. And that's where King Richard succeeds immensely. King Richard, as a narrative and a story, would never succeed if it didn't have these kind of conservative values with family and hard work and dedication, humbleness, civility. If woke Hollywood had done their butchering, this would have been a 0 out of 10. It would have been another Candyman without the horror and without just anything good. King Richard, though, is excellently written. It has some funny dialogue in it. The acting is extremely well done. The directing is extremely well done. Hands down, one of, if not the best performance by Will Smith. And the girls that played as Venus and Serena Williams, they do a remarkable job. John Bernthal, he does an exceptional job as the next coach throughout the rest of their journey. All of the actors and actresses, they do great jobs, whether they be the good people in this film or the bad people in this film. Every single character, every single actress and actor, they do an incredible job. Now, there are also times, too, in King Richard where they will accentuate on the fact that news medias try to portray their own narrative. Like, for example, when they interview Venus Williams, and tennis, I guess, used to be a mostly, if not all, white person sport, and whenever she was basically inducted into the pro gaming of it, news medias that were interviewing her, such as CNN and all of that, they were focusing on the skin color and blah, blah, blah. And it got to the point where mid-interview on air, their dad would intervene and interject and straight up yell at them about how they're focusing on that when that has nothing to do with it. They are in that interview because their skill brought them to that interview. Their skill and their focus and dedication brought them to where they are. Those scenes are the incredibly well done scenes. They are the 10 out of 10 scenes in this film. And that's not to say that the rest of the film is bad. Actually, I really enjoyed this film. This film is very well done and well written, and the story behind it is actually just an extremely thought-provoking film. This film needed to be here right now. This film, above all, tells you it does not matter who or what you are or where you come from. You can succeed if you actually make yourself determined. You focus. You find out what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and you go on with it. This isn't a typical woke Hollywood, you'll never succeed, you're beaten down by the system. No. King Richard is the exact opposite. It's about a role model knowing his environment, knowing what his family can be into the lives of ghetto scumbags and people like that don't have a future. And they don't seem to understand that if they just try to do something to make it big, they can make it big. Instead, King Richard shows a dad trying his damnedest to get not just his daughters, but their entire family, including himself, out of the ghettos, out of the victim lifestyle. And in the same time period of him trying to do that, the environment, the people around them are trying to keep them down alongside themselves. And I'm glad that they told this film the way that they told King Richard. This film, like I said, it needed to happen right now. This is a film that everybody should go watch. It tells you you are not a victim. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, where you come from, what you do. You can make it big. And I'm honestly shocked too, because this is another film in the row this year that I do like from Warner Bros. Normally I only like 1 in 5, maybe 1 in 10 films by Warner Bros. But there was Dune, now there's King Richard. I forget the rest. I have some pretty bad memory at times, but for the most part, this year has been a pretty good year for Warner Bros. Films. The HBO Max deal for the year started off horribly with Wonder Woman 1984, but they made up for it with a couple really good, really standout-ish films, such as Dune and King Richard. King Richard is an excellent film, through and through. I do not have any problems with how it's told. I do not have any problems with who starred in it, how they acted, how it's written. King Richard is just an almost perfect film, if not a perfect film. King Richard, for me, is a 10 out of 10. This is a film about the rise of stardom, and it's done and told so well. It's not the rise and fall. There was never a fall because they were guided so well. This is a film about stars that don't get in their own heads and think, well, I'm a celebrity now, so I'm all that. No, throughout their lives, from what I know, they have kept to their humbleness and civil ways, and they're very respectable people. Their whole family, it seems like. I personally now, honestly, after this film, I do want to research more about Venus and Serena Williams, because I don't really know much about tennis, let alone them, but this film really opened my eyes up to the sport and the people involved. So for me, King Richard is a 10 out of 10. Thank you.